Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a comparison of two studio microphones. That is the Beyerdynamic M201 and the Beyerdynamic M88. Now stay tuned in the video because I'll also be comparing both of these microphones versus the Shure SM7B, which is pretty much the gold standard in terms of vocal dynamic microphones. Now without further ado, I actually want to plug these microphones in and start hearing them. So we'll start with the M201. All right, so we're going to start with the M201, and I've got this running directly into the Antelope Audio Discrete 4 interface, which I'm using none of the processing, but it is coming in at plus 50 dB on the preamp. So like the SM7B, both the M201 and the M88 are pretty gain-hungry microphones, which means you're going to have to crank your preamps to get enough usable gain out of them for things like spoken word. So if you have something like the Cloud Lifter or the Fethead or any of the myriad of options now available that adds 20, 30 dB of gain before you hit your preamp, that will help keep your signal a little cleaner with not as much preamp noise. But I have found that the preamps on this Antelope interface are actually pretty good and pretty clean all the way up to 50 dB, so it's not a problem here. Now I've put on headphones here because this thing is actually a plosive monster, if you can already hear that. So we'll get into that test later, but it does come with a windscreen, so I'm going to go ahead and put that on right now so we can avoid some of those plosives moving forward. All right, the windscreen is on, so let's talk about the specs of this microphone. All right, so starting out with the Beyerdynamic M201. This microphone costs $299. It's a dynamic microphone, obviously, and the polar pattern is hypercardioid. The frequency response is 40 hertz to 18 kilohertz, and all you get on it is an XLR port. So there are no switches on this, no EQ settings, anything like that. It's what you see is what you get. You plug it in and it works, which I love that. In the box, you'll get a mic clip as well as the pop filter that we just talked about, and then you also get the nice Beyerdynamic bag. One thing that you also get in every case is actually the frequency chart of your specific microphone, so they actually measure it in the factory and send you the actual chart of the microphone that you've got, so you know exactly what you have. All right, so let's get into an audio test of the Beyerdynamic M201. So right now I'm roughly 6 inches away. It's just off to the side to avoid some of those plosives we were talking about earlier. But let's actually get right into that plosive test, and I'm going to direct my gaze and my attention directly into the microphone. And fair warning right now, this is horrible. There's literally no protection. The capsule is basically right there behind the grill. I can see it, so you'll hear every plosive right now. So Peter Piper picked a pickled pepper. It's horrible. Peter Piper picked a pickled pepper. Let's see if the included windscreen does anything for us. All right, so that windscreen is on now. So Peter Piper picked a pickled pepper. Thank you for including this windscreen. I know it's not a vocal microphone. Now, plosive still will get through even with this windscreen if you get close enough, and we'll test the proximity effect momentarily here. So I do recommend that if you're going to use this microphone to close mic a vocalist, that you either use a external pop filter, or I've heard amazing things about pairing this microphone with the Shure A81WS. That's actually the windscreen that they make for the SM81, but it fits just perfectly on this microphone, and apparently it takes away all the plosives, and you can just get right into it all day. So if you want to use this microphone and you're liking the sound of it, highly recommend looking into that windscreen. All right, so next up, let's get into that proximity effect. So I'm going to get right into this microphone right now, and this is what the microphone sounds like with the proximity effect when it's just at the corner of my mouth about 1.5 inches away. So now you can really start to hear this microphone start to come alive. I can hear the richness and the detail of this microphone really come to life when you get into that proximity effect. So it may not be your cup of tea, but this microphone definitely has that kind of broadcast quality when you get right into it. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn into it and show you that the proximity effect definitely increases the plosives, and it goes right through that windscreen. So Peter Piper picked a pickled pepper goes right through that. Is that the right rhyme? Am I doing it right? Is it Peter Piper picked a pickled pepper? I don't actually know, but that's the proximity effect test. So now let's test distance. I'm going to go ahead and adjust the gain levels in post to match, but this is what this microphone sounds like from 6 inches away where we've been using it. This is this microphone from about a foot away now, and this is this microphone from about 2 feet away. All right, so now let's test out the handling noise. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start tapping on the microphone a little bit here, and you can hear what that sounds like through my voice, and I'm gonna tap on the mic stand here. I'm gonna go ahead and get the microphone out of the clip now. And this is what this microphone sounds like when you are holding it in your hand and using it like this. Don't use this microphone in your hand. All right, next up, let's get into the background noise rejection test. So I've got an idea of how to test this, and we're going to try that in just a moment. All right, so my idea for this test, we're going to be playing white noise through my speakers here, and I'm going to start with the microphone turned completely away from it as it is right now, and then I'm going to slowly turn the microphone around. I'm going to continue talking into the microphone so you can hear my voice in terms of how it's picking up versus how much it's picking up the white noise in the background here. So we're going to go ahead and turn on the white noise now. And there it is. So I'm going to give it a moment of silence in each position, and then I will talk a little bit, and then we'll move it. So this is white noise rejection from the back. All right, so this is the microphone at 90 degrees, and this is the rejection that we are getting. And this is the microphone pointed right at the speakers. Now, another good way to test the rejection on this microphone is that my neighbor's dog has been barking this entire time, driving me absolutely insane. So we'll see if that shows up in the edit. All right, so I have two more comparison tests that I want to do. The first is I want to do an actual voiceover script. So for this test, I'm actually going to turn on post-processing so you can actually hear these microphones with a little bit of compression, a little EQ, just a little bit of finessing to get to more of a final product. And then the last thing we're going to jump into is a quick singing test. And full disclosure, I am not a voiceover artist, so I'll do my best here, but it'll help you give a sense of what this sounds like with processing. The future. You used to chase it. Now, you're living in it. The Wavefront is an all-electric automobile that propels driving into a new era. With sleek aerodynamic design and ultrasonic sensors that prevent collisions, there's no more getting left behind. Life short, drive fast. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming? All right, so next up is the Beyerdynamic M88. Let's just jump straight into the specs for this microphone. All right, so the M88 is a $399 microphone, so it's $100 more than the M201. It's a dynamic microphone. It's also hypercardioid. The frequency response is a bit wider, so it's 30 hertz all the way up to 20 kilohertz. And again, it's just an XLR microphone. There's no switches on it. There's no EQ. Nothing like that. It's a really basic microphone. It's obviously built a little bit different with a windscreen up top. In terms of what you get in the box, it's pretty much the exact same as the M201, other than you don't get the external windscreen because this one has one built in. But you get the mic clip, you get the bag, and then you get the nice printed documentation with the actual frequency response of your microphone. All right, so plosive test of the M88. I'm going to go ahead and look straight at it. I'm about 6 inches off the microphone, and Peter Piper picked a pickled pepper. Peter Piper picked a pickled pepper. So I can hear that that is disappointing. Unfortunately, even with the built-in windscreen, even though this microphone is technically built to be for vocals, I think you do still need some type of external pop filter to fit over this, or else you're going to be in trouble. So let's go ahead and test the proximity effect on the M88. I'm going to go ahead and lean in there, and this is what it sounds like a couple inches off there. So I can already tell that it's got a lot more low end with the proximity in place here. So that's why it makes it so popular with the kick drums and bass cabs, is that it's got a ton of low end extension all the way down to 30 hertz. So on a kind of deeper male vocal like mine, this is actually too much low end in my opinion. You definitely want to apply some type of high pass filter, roll this off around 60-70 hertz typically is what I would do to kind of get rid of some of those sub frequencies that are just going to kind of muddy the waters. But that's the proximity effect on the M88. Now I'm going to go move back up to 6 inches away, and this is what this microphone sounds like. I'm going to go ahead and back up to about a foot away, and this is what the microphone sounds like. And I'm going to back up 2 feet away, and this is what the microphone sounds like from 2 feet away. All right, so let's go ahead and check out the handling noise. I'm going to go ahead and start tapping on the microphone here and on the stand. I'm going to go ahead and try to grab it out of this clip. That sounds good, huh? All right, so this is what the M88 sounds like when it's being held in your hand and putting it back on the clip. All right, so similar to the M201, it doesn't reject handling noise whatsoever. Let's go ahead and jump into our white noise test as well now. Now, this is the microphone pointed towards me away from the speakers. And this is the microphone at 90 degrees from the speakers, and this is listening to my voice, and then straight on to the speakers. And back again. So that is what it sounds like in our white noise test.
The future. You used to chase it. Now you're living in it. The Wavefront is an all-electric automobile that propels driving into a new era. With sleek aerodynamic design and ultrasonic sensors that prevent collisions, there's no more getting left behind. Life short, drive fast.
All right.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming?
All right, so last in our comparison is the Shure SM7B. Now, this microphone needs no introduction. It's pretty much the gold standards in terms of dynamic vocal microphones. So that's why I wanted to test it with the Beyerdynamic microphones to see how those hold up to something like the SM7B. So we'll go ahead and run it through the exact same test today so you can hear how it sounds versus the two other microphones that we're testing. All right, so specs-wise on the Shure SM7B, this microphone is $399. That makes it the same price as the M88 and $100 more than the M201. This is a dynamic microphone, of course, and it is a cardioid pattern, unlike the hypercardioid pattern that we found on both Beyerdynamic microphones. The frequency response of this microphone is 50 Hz to 20 kHz, so it's also slightly higher in terms of that low end. It doesn't reach as low as what I should say. So the M88 went down to 30 Hz, the M201 went down to 40 Hz. This is cut off at 50 Hz. For voice, not a huge deal. Now this does have some switches, so it does have a bass roll-off as well as a mid-enhancement switch. I have both of those set flat right now, so you're hearing them with both of those turned off. Other than that, it's an XLR microphone, and in the box you get a switch plate cover and the windscreen, and that is pretty much it. So this microphone actually needs the most gain of the three we've tested today. This is at plus 52 dB, and I had the M201 at plus 47, so about 5 dB more. But again, if you're using something like a Fethead or a Cloud Lifter, you won't have a problem with that. So let's go ahead and test out the plosives with the SM7B with the windscreen on. Peter Piper picked a pickled pepper. Peter Piper picked a pickled pepper. All right, so next let's test out the rejection of handling noise. This is not a handheld microphone. You would never hand hold it, but we'll check out how that sounds. All right, so I'm hearing a little bit of handling noise, but way less than the Beyerdynamic microphone. So if you have this, like most people do on like a boom arm or something like that, you're probably not gonna hear it too much. So that does make this microphone a nice option. All right, at the risk of looking totally stupid, I am gonna take the SM7B off the stand so we can go ahead and check out that pickup pattern. This is the microphone pointed away from the white noise directly to me. This is now the microphone pointed 90 degrees from the white noise, but again, I am talking into it, and this is pointed directly towards the white noise. And back again. All right, so now let's test out the proximity effect of the Shure SM7B. So I'm gonna lean right into the microphone, and this is what it sounds like. It's obviously a broadcast style microphone. You've heard this microphone literally everywhere, so it's probably very familiar sounding, especially when up this close. And this is what it sounds like from 6 inches away. Now I'm about a foot away from the microphone. And lastly, I'm about 2 feet away from the Shure SM7B.
The future. You used to chase it. Now you're living in it. The Wavefront is an all-electric automobile that propels driving into a new era. With sleek aerodynamic design and ultrasonic sensors that prevent collisions, there's no more getting left behind. Life short, drive fast. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming?
All right, we are back, and it's been a couple of days. I'm wearing a different shirt because I wanted to take some time to listen through all the clips that we recorded so I could give you my opinion. Before I do that though, you can probably see behind me I've got a whole slew of microphones, and that's because I'm working on a series of videos comparing microphones to the SM7B. These are gonna be microphones that are cheaper than the SM7B, as low as $20. Some that I had to modify to get closer to the sound, and some that were good straight out of the box. So you're not gonna wanna miss it. Click subscribe so you see those videos as soon as they come out. All right, so if you want my opinion, all three of these mics were outstanding, but they had some differences. The M201 clearly sounded the most natural to me, especially for spoken word. I think it'd be really good for audiobook narration and things like that, where you don't want that kind of hyped radio sound. You just want something soothing to listen to that doesn't tax your ears. The M88 was actually the opposite though, where it almost had kind of a scoop sound, where the low end was the strongest of all three mics, and the top end was actually the most bright. I think the M88 worked really well for that kind of punchy, in-your-face voiceover for like an ad read, and I actually preferred it the most for my voice for singing. And the SM7B was the SM7B. It's a legendary microphone for a reason, and it sounded great across all the tests that we did. Where it really shined is the included accessories. It didn't suffer from the handling noise, and it had that built-in pop filter, which worked really well. So you don't need any additional accessories to make it work right out of the box. So if you're just looking for a microphone for your voice, I do think the SM7B is a great choice. Where I might recommend one of the Beyerdynamics though, is if you record music as well. Because the M88 and the M201 are gonna give you a lot more versatility across one microphone than you would get from the SM7B. The M201 excels on guitar cabs and snare drums, and like I said at the beginning, the M88 is great on kick drums and bass cabs. So personally, I'm gonna keep the M88, I'm gonna use it for my voice and also record bass with it, and if I ever need to mic up a drum kit, I'll have that perfect kick mic as well. All right, so that's it for this video. Make sure you subscribe for more content like this, and we'll see you on the next one.